Hello student, welcome to the second part of the chapter 4th from The Principle and Art of Cure by Homeopathy, written by Dr. H. Robert. The title of the chapter is Vital Force as Expressed in Functions, that is, the role of vital force in health, in disease, in recovery and cure. Let us revise the previous lecture. In previous lecture we learned that this vital energy is responsible to work out all the all the functions at the cellular level, and because of this energy which lies in the cell is responsible for the further development. And the example given of this transformation of the energy, that is, the energy is not created, not destroyed, but it is just transferred from one form to another form. The energy from the ovum and this sperm, and by the union of these both energy, the subsequent life or the subsequent growth is occurred because of this only the dynamic force, isn't it? And it is responsible to develop a very individual personality, and after maturity this person is also able to reproduce in the similar way. And this is the very unique and very determinant process occurred in each species. And this process of reproduction is nothing but the one of the characteristic feature of the living organism, which is totally influenced by the vital principle or vital energy. Thus, all these mysterious functions occur in human being or any other living organism. It is very critical and very minute and finest or subtle functions. All the system, all the organs, all the tissues, all the cells working in cooperation with cooperation and in coordinate way, and perform all the body function in harmonious way. And all these organs of the human body, the internal organs, these are perform all the vital functions in order to keep the existence of life and the existence of the human being. Then in next paragraph he explained in the role of vital force in health. In health, all expressions of vital force may be expressed by perfect functioning of all parts of the body and by a sense of general well-being. Yes, in the healthy state, there is the healthy state is well indicated by the sensation of well-being. Yes, there is a sense of well-being is there, therefore one can enjoy his life, and it is a very important sensation that which indicate that there is a harmonious or there is a equilibrium between the mental, physical and the particular level. And therefore whenever the person is health, there is a balance between the emotion and intellect, isn't it? It is a balanced state of health. Health is a balanced state of life, and in healthy state the vital force is able to keep this balance, isn't it? Any critical condition, if there is any adverse situation or any adverse circumstances occur, this intellect keep the balance in life. And the intellect is the ability to use the mind creatively. Then whatever is the sensations that feel by the all sense organ, these stimulus, these are all received through this sense organ. Yes, this stimulus is received and it react outwardly or manifest outwardly in very harmonious way, in very, you can say, in balanced state. There is a response for the each and every external stimuli through the agency of brain, and therefore one can enjoy itself. And it is a role of vital force in health. Have you got this? Then role of vital force in disease. Then in the role of vital force in disease, whenever there is a derangement of the vital force, there is a, or you can say the health and disease is these are the two sides of one coin. And if the person, there is a deviation from the state of health, person is in a disease state, and the disease state there is a no sensation, name itself indicate that there is a no sense of ease, that is a dis-ease, there is no sense of well-being. Patient, there is a sense of discomfort and patient cannot enjoy his health, all the sensation, or there is a imbalance between the emotion and intellect, and therefore no proper response or given for the sensation which received by the sense organ. And at the primary level, whenever there is a derangement of the vital force, it first appear at the spiritual level, then the mental expressions, the mental plane get affected and various other mental symptoms are developed. Then this disease express its manifestation on the physical level, and physical signs and symptoms are appear. These all because of the vital functions are disturbed, either from external impression having a depressing effect and the consequent reaction of the vital force, or from some hidden miasm coming into its full expression in its impress on the vital force. Yes, this derangement of the vital force occur because of the any exciting cause and the fundamental cause. Whenever the exciting cause excite the fundamental cause miasm, that is a miasm, then there is a outburst of the acute disease, that is a transient explosion of latent sora, isn't it? Then this example of the exciting cause is the sudden shock, these sudden news from bad news, joy of news, severe fright, such type of and the maintaining cause also there. The person exposed continuously or from a long time from under the long mental and physical stress. This various type of examples are there for the exciting cause and maintaining cause, and these are all hampered the vital function. And in case of acute or chronic diseases, there is a particular, or every individual react to the particular exciting cause in its own way according to their hereditary dyscrasia, isn't it? And therefore every individual manifest very different type of symptom, you can say. Then take the, or in this disease condition, what happened? What is the role of vital force in disease condition? It continuously manifests the symptom outwardly, isn't it? Therefore symptoms are the sole guide for the physician to know that there is a dynamic derangement of the vital force inside. Have you got this? And he compared, Dr. H. Robert analogous this condition or compare this disease state into the by giving the example of some water reservoir, the water ponds and reservoirs which have suddenly begin to heave means increase its level, some seemingly without cause, and throw upward their pathogenetic formation, becoming exceedingly oily to spend their efforts on this saprolytic action and so get in the motion of the clarifying process. Yes, all these mechanisms occur or in order or to rectify or to remove the disease force, isn't it? And therefore what happened in curative process which conducted by the vital force in acute cases. So whenever the exciting cause is not too much violent in nature or disease force is not too much violent in nature, then vital force can recover itself by and through its own energy. isn't it? And you know what do you mean by recovery? Recovery means the it is a spontaneous return to return of health with or without the help of medicine, isn't it? But cure does not take place spontaneously. Let us try to know the difference between this cure and recovery, isn't it? Recovery is a spontaneous procedure, automatically or spontaneously done by the vital force, while in the process of cure, vital force need the aid of medicine or medicinal energy, isn't it? And whenever there is a spontaneous recovery of the patient, recovery of the disease, it is a observe the disappearance of the symptom in the reverse order of their appearance. In spontaneous, that is a natural recovery by the vital force, which is occurred by the energy of vital force. Whenever we observe this, we observe that the disappearance of the symptom in the reverse order of their appearance, and it is a rule of nature, isn't it? Whatever is the symptom which appear at the first time, it is the last to disappear. And here he gives the example of the eruptive fever. You know the various example of eruptive fever like measles, chickenpox. This measles, this eruptive fever initiated with the cough, and then the irritation of mucous membrane, the running nose, then temperature, that is a fever, and lastly there is a eruption occur. Isn't it? In form of this macular type of eruption is there, and in case of chickenpox, these macules develop to papules, then pustules, and vesicles are formed, and finally there is the scar. And then these are all skin appears, whatever is the eruptions occur at the skin level, these are all disappear. Then fever get decrease. Then there is whatever is the irritation of the mucous membrane, it get relieved, and lastly the symptom which is appear first, that is a cough, it is the last to disappear. It is a natural process. In case of recovery, it is a we observe the order of disappearance of the symptom naturally whenever the spontaneous cure occur by and through its own energy of vital force in acute condition, isn't it? And this order is always maintaining invasion and recession of symptom when the vital force is able to establish complete restoration of normal vital functions. In acute diseases, it is a role of vital force in acute disease. Acute diseases may take on various forms. The assault may be so great as to destroy life in short time. Sometimes, whenever the disease force is too much violent in nature, then vital force is not solely, or he is not able to combat with the disease force without any aid, isn't it? Here the recovery is totally impossible because of the violent nature of the disease force. What happened here? The vital force may be so overcome as to be unable to strive successfully against the combination of outward and inward assault and be completely destroyed. On the other hand, it may be able to overcome the disease condition without outside help. Yes, against this disease force, some mechanisms are established in form of elimination by the vital force, but these inward assault, these are whatever the mechanism produced at the bodily level, it is out of control, and that's why there is a tremendous weakness at the physical level, and from this weakness the body could not be it is unable to cope up from this very critical condition, and therefore some condition of acute diseases we need the medicinal aid. On the other hand, it may be able to overcome the disease condition without outside help by crisis, but when this happens, there is such a drain on the vital energy. Yes, because of this mechanism which is established by the vital force in order to recover from the disease, but because of this response to this external or exciting cause or disease force, there is a much drain of the vital energy. That is a decided an injury to the life giving forces. Yes, because of this drain of vital energy, all these life giving processes, these are all hampered, isn't it? It is a critical condition. Patient reaches to the critical condition because of the sacrifices of fluid. Yes, sacrifices, that is the tremendous elimination of the fluid from body. There is a mechanical shock to the body, isn't it? And from this condition, because of the sacrifice of fluid, when crisis takes place, there is a lowering of the physical power of the patient. Yes, in order to recover from any situation, there is enough energy to raise, isn't it? As there is a loss of physical power, lowering of the physical power, patient not able to raise from this critical situation, and therefore we need the medicinal help of medicine. And here again his very life is in danger. If it is not handled properly, then the life is in a danger situation. It is what happened in case of acute disease, whenever the disease force is very much violent in nature. Let us take the next paragraph. When the vital force is not of itself able to make a complete recovery, either due to a hidden miasm or an especially violent assault on the vital energy, the vital force often resorts to methods of bringing about a partial recovery. Yes, what happened? Sometime when vital force is not itself able to make the complete recovery, vital energy is not have enough energy to restore the sick to health or recover from sick to health because of some hidden miasm. This internal dyscrasia is there, which become the obstacle in path of recovery, and therefore the recovery of the patient, full recovery of the patient is not possible, and or an especially violent assault on the vital energy, or sometimes very violent attack of the disease force. The vital force often resorts to methods of bringing about a partial recovery. Then vital force is start its or yes, vital force turn to adapt so as to some difficult situation by bringing about a partial recovery, isn't it? Partial recovery is there. Thus the vital force pushes the invader out en masse by taking the inner trenches of the citadel and pushing the enemy to the outskirts of the country by establishing a semi-chronic skin manifestation, or there may be establishment of a catarrhal disturbance on some or more of the mucous surfaces, or the establishment of pus abscesses with the expectation and hope of throwing out the enemy. Yes, what happened here? Dr. H.A. Robert tried to make you understand that by giving the example of citadel. What do you mean by citadel? Citadel means it is a type of fort which is built up for the purpose of protection of the city, isn't it? म्हणजे शहराच्या बचावासाठी बांधलेला एक बालेकिल्ला. It is just here the picture is a citadel. Citadel is it is meant for the protection of the city, isn't it? Then the inner trench of the citadel. Inner trench means it is just the picture of trench, like see the inner wall and the outer wall, and in between there is a trench. Trench means ज्याला आपण म्हणतो की खंदक. To dig a ditch you can say, dig a ditch, and it is only meant for the, and it is, this trench is around the citadel, isn't it? Because it is the center of protection of the city, and from which the there is the mechanism which is operated from the citadel, that is किल्ला गड ज्याला आपण म्हणू, आणि याच्या भोवती काय आहे, हा ट्रेंच खोदलेला आहे. ट्रेंच म्हणजे ज्याला आपण म्हणतो खंदक, की जर शत्रू आले तर त्याला दोन वॉल असतात, एक आउटर वॉल आणि एक इनर वॉल, आणि त्याच्यामध्ये पूर्ण खंदक खोदलेला असतो, की शत्रू जर आले तर ते या खंदकात पडून त्याचा बचाव आपण करू शकतो आणि त्यांना मारू शकतो, किंवा जर बाहेरून हल्ला झाला तर ह्या ट्रेंच मध्ये राहून बाहेरचा हल्ला थोपवू शकतो. म्हणजेच काय, तर ह्या सिटाडेलचं पूर्ण रक्षण होऊ शकतं. हिअर द सिटाडेल मीन्स द our body, or you can say it is a body and vital force, isn't it, and mind also. This, it is our life, you can say. Let us try to understand now. Thus the vital force pushes the invader. Invader means one who invades or make the attack. The vital force pushes the invader out. Invader, it is a disease force or the disease. The vital force push the disease out. En masse means the all mechanism in toto, in all. That means the vital force pushes the invader, that is the disease force, in all by taking the inner trenches of the citadel, and pushing the enemy to the outskirts of the country. Outskirts means the outer part of the country. Then what is the mechanism here? Outskirt is a outer part, means our skin and mucous membrane, isn't it? And the skin is and mucous membrane, you know the function of the skin and mucous membrane is nothing but the excretion and protection. Therefore the skin protect our all inner vital organ, and to save the all inner vital organ, vital force establish a situation or mechanism that a semi-chronic skin manifestations are occur. That means there is a outwardly pushing this or outward manifestation of this internal disease. There may be establishment of the catarrhal disturbances, or sometimes there is a catarrhal disturbances, there is a increased secretion of the mucous membrane. It is either in a chronic skin manifestation or the catarrhal disturbances, that is the skin and mucous membrane get affected on someone or more of the mucous surface, or the establishment of pus abscesses. Sometimes all these toxins which are created throughout the process of disease, these are all excreted in outwardly and in form of pus abscesses within the expectation and hope of throwing out the enemy. All these mechanisms, then we all mean that type of skin eruption, these catarrhal disturbances, increase the catarrhal secretions or the pus abscesses, all these are formed by the vital force. It is a process which meant for the protection of the internal vital organ in expectation and hope of throwing out the enemy, that is a disease force. That means the vital force try to protect the internal organ by making such changes or disease keep at the outer level or the least important organ. Here, got it? It is a mechanism done by the vital force in order to keep the existence of life by protecting the inner vital organs. Unfortunately, the emptying of such abscesses may be into an organ or organs where complete expulsion from the body is not possible, such as in pyothorax or pustular appendix. Yes, every time it is not possible to throw out all these discharges or the whatever is toxins from body, and these are resulted as a disease, that is a pyothorax or pustular appendicitis. Remedies will assist in this acute disease. Yes, these are the acute condition, and these remedies definitely help in this acute condition, and very often save the sacrifice of the crisis and thereby the loss of physical power. Yes, whatever is the mechanism established by the vital force, and it is now resulted into the pyothorax and pustular appendicitis, and because of such mechanism there is a tremendous loss of physical power, and in this condition whenever you help the patient with suitable remedies, then it definitely save the life. It will always remain unknown how this power work in conjunction with the homeopathic remedy. Yes, definitely we can't explain in this phenomena on the physical level, but definitely the homeopathic remedy work and patient get cured from this such critical condition. Therefore, H. Robert told that it will always remain unknown how this power works in conjunction with the homeopathic remedy to assist in conquering the assault of the vital force. Conquering means to win. You can say won the assault. Assault, it is assault by the vital assault by the disease force on body. But that it does so and lowers very markedly the mortality rate in the acute disease, we know to be true. Yes, it is definitely we observe it every time that in such condition, in such critical acute condition, whenever vital force is not able to recover by and through its own energy of vital force, it creates some condition, but because of this condition or manifestation of this or the response of the vital force against this disease process, whatever is the condition occur, vital force is not able to remove this condition, and here there is a role of homeopathic remedy, and homeopathic remedy definitely save the life of the patient, and it is and markedly decrease the mortality rate in the acute diseases. That is, if there is a sacrifice of the life of the patient, you can save the life of the patient. In acute diseases only, is it ever possible for the vital force to rectify the condition without assistance? And in this condition, vital force could not help, or vital force is not enough energy to recover through the disease process, but while it required the help of medicine. In chronic condition, this can never be done. The homeopathic remedy assists in the cure because it represents a superior force. Yes, homeopathic remedy assists in cure because it is superior force. Superior force, you know, disease is a conditional force while medicine is a unconditional force, and by assessing the susceptibility of the patient and the nature of disease, physician can able to create a superior or the stronger artificial disease by administering the proper homeopathic remedy with proper potency and repetition of doses, and therefore this homeopathic remedy assists in cure because it represents a superior force. It is superior than that of the natural disease. No cure can take place unless a superior force is exhibited. Yes, if physician not able to produce the superior artificial disease by the application of proper and suitable potency and repetition of the doses of the homeopathic medicine, then the cure would not be occurred. Therefore, it is necessary to select a proper potency and repetition. The most potent force in the world of medicine is the potentized remedy. Yes, potent means it is a powerful force. It is only possible by the potentized remedy, as the quantity get reduced while the quality increased. More potent by far than is the disease condition. Yes, you can create the more powerful disease, more powerful, stronger artificial disease by the application of the potentized remedy, that is suitable potency. Under a cure, the symptoms of a deranged vital function always disappear in the reverse order of their appearance. Every one of you know the order of cure. This is true in acute as well as in chronic disturbances. Naturally, such type of observation we done. Then after the application of homeopathic similar remedy or homeopathic remedy, the order of cure is must follow this order, that is the symptoms always disappear in the reverse order of their appearance. Because this order is always maintained, it is a vital point of observation in taking the case to note the sequence of the symptom in invasion. Symptom of the invasion means is whenever it occur, whenever it attack, whenever it inroads, whenever it attack whenever there is an attack of the disease, then you must observe the sequence of the appearance of the symptom, so that the physician can know of the progress of the case under the selected remedy. In very serious cases, when we are so anxious to know what improvement is taking place, we can be assured by watching in order of the disappearance of the symptom. In this way, we can learn the action of the remedy in its assistance to the vital force and can give an accurate prognosis. This is equally true in acute and chronic disease. Yes, after prescription, the order of disappearance of the symptom, which is from the reverse order of their appearance, you can observe in acute as well as in chronic condition. Too much stress cannot be laid upon the importance of the law of direction of cure of disease state. Every physician should have this thoroughly ingrained into his consciousness. Ingrained means it is a very to fix firmly. It is after administration of remedy, you should not be very stress on the importance of the direction of the cure, because there are very conditions. Let us see. By cure we mean the complete eradication of disease state and consequently the complete eradication of the symptom and return to the condition of normal vigorous health. Yes, only the removal of the symptom is not mean the cure, but cure means it is a restoration from sick to health. That is, as there is the symptoms of disease are there and as these are disappear, there is a re-establishment of the symptom of health. That is the return of condition of normal vigorous health. You know the symptom of health, it is the health is the total mental, physical and social well-being, isn't it? Whenever the person is healthy, there is a very balanced emotions and intellectual function. The vital force must first be set in order by the indicated remedy, and the understanding of this great law of cure has proven of inestimable value in this process. In that we can know definitely whether we are proceeding in a manner that will lead to ultimate cure of the patient, or whether we are merely palliating or suppressing condition. Yes, on which basis you select your remedy, that is whether you strictly individualize patient by collecting the characteristic symptom of the patient, or whether your prescription is depending on the common symptom of the disease. Then definitely you can predict that you are going to cure your patient or you are going to palliate or suppress the condition. And therefore he told that the vital force first be set in order by the indicated remedy. and the understanding of this great law of cure has been proven an unestimable value in the process. And this whenever there is a disappearance of the symptom in a particular order and particular fashion, then it indicates the you are on the correct path, and this selected remedy definitely cure your patient. Let us take the next paragraph. Improvement and cure come from within outward. Yes, it is very important. Improvement and cure come from within outward. Just as no growth and development can take place from outside inward, so no hope of cure can be felt that move in the contrary direction. Yes, everything in nature, it is from center to periphery. At the center there is government, and the periphery there is a ultimates, isn't it? It is a centripetal force from center to periphery. Then it is in a very definite order. While it is centripetal force means from outside to inward. It is not a rule of government, isn't it? It is not a fixed principle. The fixed principle is always from center to periphery, and therefore it is this rule center to periphery you observe in every time. Growth and development of cure are centrifugal and never centripetal. Symptom disappear from above downward. Complaint go from an important organ to a less important organ. Symptom does disappear in the reverse order of their appearance. Yes. This growth and development and cure is not are centrifugal. It is from within outward, while the centripetal means it is from outside to inward, isn't it? So cure is always from within outward. It is always centrifugal, not centripetal. Symptoms disappear from above downward. You know, these growth and development, the growth after the formation of this zygote, there is a continuous cell division, meiosis and mitosis, and morula, blastular form, and from this the three germinal layers are formed. You know, it is a ectoderm, it is the outer layer, it is a mesoderm, and it is a endoderm, that is the inner layer. Let us see TS level. It is ectoderm, outer layer, it is a mesoderm in between, and it is the inner layer, that is it is the endoderm. And from these three layers all organs are formed. In endoderm, you know, endoderm form the inner and lining of the organ. Mesoderm, it is developed into organ, that is the skeleton, bone and blood. These are all from the mesoderm. And ectoderm, it is a exoskeleton, skin and mucous membrane. That is a growth is from center to periphery. Yes, let us observe this ectoderm. It is outer. Mesoderm from this middle part, and endoderm from the vital organ, and therefore the cure is always from within outward, most important organ to least important organ, because the development, it is always growth and development is always from center to periphery, that is a centrifugal in nature. One of the best illustration is the rheumatic fever manifestation. Here he gives the another example how the cure is proceeded in case of chronic disease. The role of vital force in chronic disease. This is a case where the joints of the extremities are first attacked. Next, the joints nearer the body, and presently we find the heart involved. Yes, whenever we observe the rheumatic fever initiated from this sore throat, then there is the skin eruption is there, and there is a rheumatic fever symptom. There is a pink or red rash, and then the involvement of the joint is there. These rheumatic nodules are formed here. See, and lastly there is a involvement of heart. Have you got this? This heart symptom is appear at the very, it is the last organ going to involve. First, the disease is or the vital force remain the disease on the outer level, the skin and mucous membrane and this joint. So this is the natural order of the onset of symptom, which the joint which first attack next to the joint nearer the body, and presently we find the heart involved, that is the innermost organ, the vital organ involved late, because it is very important to keep the disease on the least important organ. It is a nature. Now if we relieve the symptom appearing in the extremities, are we approaching a cure? Yes, if we try to concentrate your cure on the only at the joint level, then it is not a cure. Definitely it is a palliation of the symptom. Consider the vital organs that are in danger if they are not already attacked. Yes, it is a natural process of the rheumatic fever. That is a rheumatic fever commencement with the sore throat, then the joints are involved, and lastly the heart get attacked. But while treating the disease in the natural order, you should not concentrate, or if the disease is not reached at the particular level or until the heart is not involved, then you must have a knowledge how the order of development of the disease, how the evolution of the diseases occur in that particular case, and never try to treat the patient at the particular level. Your target of the treatment is not the joints, isn't it? If you try to treat this joint, then you are going to suppress the disease, and then the heart will get affected if they are not already attacked. If already there is not involvement of the heart, then it will definitely attack by the suppressive treatment. But under the exhibition of the carefully selected homeopathic remedy, but if you select a very proper homeopathic medicine in this condition, by considering the characteristic symptom of the patient, then the more important organs are first to be freed. If we observe the patient in the rheumatic condition, the rheumatic condition is there, and if you try to treat your patient, see there is an involvement of joints, different joints, and the heart also. And in this condition, whenever you try to treat your patient with homeopathic remedy, see how the rheumatism occur at the heart level. Rheumatic heart is a picture of rheumatic heart. There is involvement of the wall, isn't it? And if you treating your patient at this level, then what happens? See, but under the exhibition of the carefully selected homeopathic remedy, the more important organ are the first to be freed. What is the vital organ which is necessary for the existence of the life? Nothing but the heart. And therefore, under the process of homeopathic treatment, this important organ get freed from the disease. You got this? And these are all least important organ. These are not much affect the your vital processes, and therefore the cure is always from center to periphery, centrifugal in nature. But under the exhibition of carefully selected homeopathic remedy, the more important organ are the first to be freed, being the last organ to be attacked, and gradually the manifestations recedes to the extremities, the first to be affected. Yes, from the heart it get freed, then the extremities get affected. It is a reverse order of the appearance of the symptom. It is absolutely necessary that these axioms be thoroughly grounded in our minds. Yes, this principle should be thoroughly impressed on your mind. This principle, you can say, it is a statement which establish or which we accepted. Then it is a pleasure to feel the security that develop from our sure knowledge in the progress of any given case. If you have a knowledge of this, then you can surely apply this knowledge in any given case. That is a disappearance of the symptom in the reverse order of their appearance, isn't it? This pertains also to the artificial disease condition that we get from the drug proving. Yes, this is, you can refer, or it is appropriate, that means the appearance of the symptom from center to periphery or periphery to whatever is the cure is from centrifugal in nature. These are also true for the or associated with the artificial disease condition which we develop in a drug proving. The onslaught of these symptoms is the same as the natural disease. That means it is a attack of the symptom or the artificial disease is as similar as the natural disease. They come on from below and move upward, or appear first in a superficial organ and then later move to the deeper organ. Yes, in the drug proving process, the symptom first appear on the superficial organ and then move to a deeper organ. When a proving is wearing off, yes, you are not going to conduct the proving experiment that the very severe pathological conditions are developed. You have to stop the proving at certain level, isn't it? It is not danger to the life of the threaten to the life of the patient, and therefore whenever you stop the proving, when the proving is wearing off, the symptom recedes in the reverse order. Then whenever you stop the proving, whenever you stop the administration of the doses, then the symptom recede, that is come back in the reverse order. These are all removed or disappear in a reverse order, just as a natural disease symptom recedes. That is the symptom which appear in the most important at the deeper organ, it will disappear at the first, and then the symptoms on the superficial organ will disappear. This one more show the relationship between the natural disease symptom arising from a disturbed vital energy and artificial disease symptom as produced by a drug. Yes, in the conditional disease is a conditional force and which disturb the vital energy. Similarly, in case of drug proving, this unconditional drug energy we are going to use, but both the natural disease and the artificial disease phenomena, these follow the same natural rule as given above. These explain also the reason why the potentized drug is so effective in disease condition. The action of the remedy must follow the same cycle of action under the same law as the natural action of the disturbed vital energy. Yes, why our remedy act, why our remedy is able to cure the disease? Because the action of the remedy is similar, very similar to the action of the disturbed vital energies naturally by the natural disease phenomena. Let us see the next paragraph. In chronic conditions, this law is just as sure as in acute condition. But in chronic condition, we are often faced with a seeming confusion. We have carefully taken the symptom as reported by the patient and have made our prescription. After a certain progress, the patient comes to us with a new set of symptoms. Yes, what is the role of fatal force in chronic disease? After prescription of the after the collection of the after the case taking, you collect the symptom, and by collecting the all characteristic symptom, we select a particular remedy which are the symptom manifested at that particular time. But after the prescription of this medicine, what happened? After certain progress, the patient comes us to with a new set of symptoms. Yes, whatever the group of symptoms presented by the patient was totally disappear, and now he is come with the new set of symptoms. Careful reference to the symptomatology show no apparent relation to the present symptom picture, and if you try to elicit all these symptoms and you realize that you observe that there is no relation of the present symptom and the symptom which are disappear. Are we progressing in a right direction? Yes, there is. It is a very confusing state, and which is definitely confuse physician that are we progressing in the right direction? Is this a new condition that has arisen? Let us proceed carefully. By cautious questioning, we shall probably find that this is the return of old symptom. Yes, after the thorough examination, we observe that whatever is the new set of symptoms are appear now, it is not a new, but these are the old symptom, and therefore it is a return of the old symptom in reverse order of appearance that it has been long covered up. Yes, these are covered for a long time. Now these are all returned and forgotten because of the later unfolding symptom. This whatever is the symptom appear after the administration of the proper homeopathic medicine, it is totally new group of symptom, while by the careful examination we observe that these are not new symptom, while these are the old symptom which are till now covered from a long time and forgotten by the patient, isn't it? And these are all are unfolding by the later symptom. Then as the later symptom have disappeared, this older group has been again come to the surface. Yes, the outer layer of the appearance of the symptom of the outer layer, these are all disappeared, then the inner layer symptoms are appeared on the surface. Now we may know that we are proceeding in a proper direction. Yes, whenever it follows the Hering's law of cure, you definitely predict that you are proceeding in a proper direction. Your remedy is correct. Right here, great care must be taken not to mix the case. If the remedy is doing this work, yes, it is very important not to get confused and not to get the change your remedy. Let it proceed without interference, and the patient will lose this symptom and a still order. More deeply buried group will presently come to the surface. Let us take the last paragraph. The necessity of constant study of the philosophy that underlies homeopathy becomes more and more apparent if we would be masters of our work, and not only study but certain degree of patience to wait the course of event. Yes, it is very important, specifically in case of chronic diseases. This you should well acquainted with all these principles and philosophy of homeopathy, that, and the most important thing is the wait and watch. Whenever this eminent patient is showed by any physician, whenever he was master of his work, isn't it? Whenever he is very much confident, about his knowledge, then only he have a eminent patience of degree of patience for the wait and watch. However, if we can know that we are proceeding in the right direction, it gives us the patience and the courage to wait event. Yes, when we get this courage of wait and patience, when you are very much confident, regarding your knowledge and application according to the fixed principle and law of homeopathy, then you would be very much patient. Otherwise, the much confusion is created. If you are selection is not based on the homeopathy principle. It gives us the patience and the courage to wait event, knowing that the prognosis is favorable and our work is effective. Yes, whenever we observe a very favorable symptom, you can predict that your patient is on the right path or patient is on the path of cure. Lots of indications are there. First and foremost indication is that the first indication is there is a patient feels better. Although there is a reappearance of the symptom, although there was an aggravation of the symptom is also there, still patient feels better. The sensation of ease is very much important after the prescription of medicine. Otherwise, you definitely predict that your medicine is not correct and you should more study your case. Then the patient feels better is the first indication. Then the improvement of the mental symptom. The improvement of the mental symptom, that is your medicine is act at the spiritual level, and from the spiritual level there is the process get corrected, and now there is a correction at the mental level, which is represented at the improvement of the mental symptom. Increase the positivity, isn't it? He is very much responsible towards his family, his society, nation, and there is economic growth also. He can enjoy his life and able to control his emotions. All these positivities are established now in the life of the patient, and all this negativity removed from the patient. These are all indication that is the prognosis is favorable, isn't it? And your work is effective. Then only you are confident that, or you predict that your medicine is correct, and it is strictly on the homeopathic principle. Have you got this? Yes. Whenever you walk along on the path of the right path of the homeopathy, then you definitely get the confidence and you can treat in every case very successfully, isn't it? Okay, thank you.